there's a few other little things that I maybe wanted to try and cover, specifically about your Summit and Beyond, your hiking business. What, in your eyes, if someone was to want to start doing this, start getting, not just getting into the outdoors, but also making it work for them as either an alternate career, a part-time career, because I see it all the time online. I've gone out and bought my next tent, my new tent. They're a complete beginner, and I want to be a hiker for a job, which you see it all the time on Facebook. What would your advice be to someone that wants to start doing this?
Get outside and do it.
I guess
just
first,
get out and
gain some experience.
Start small. Yeah, start small. So start with an easy trail that you're not going to get lost on. And as you do that, start to explore the land around it. Start to take a map with you. Start to learn what the map's telling you. YouTube's a great thing, but do you know what I mean? There's books out there. You've got like the navigation books. You've got the mountain walking, the climbing books. All these. This one here.
What's that one you've got?
Can you see it?
Walker's Guide.
It's Tristan. Walker's Guide to Outdoor Clues and Signs by Tristan Gooley.
Link in the comments below. In the description below.
Brilliant. It's just like making you aware of your surroundings, of the environment that's around you, the weather and the clouds and the trees and the animals, and follow people like Mr. Harrison. Yeah,
well, do you know what? As you were speaking then, I was thinking of what I was going to say next, and that was one of those things where I was also thinking that same thing just as you were. The fact about it's so easy to just hike with your head down. Do you know what I mean? And look up, look around, and just sit and wait and see what happens. And that's another good example. Mr. Harrison's been having a look at the wildlife that's been going about, albeit it's not at the nice sociable hours. A lot of these animals are nocturnal, but it's there's stuff happening out there that you're totally unaware of.
And he's bringing what he's doing is, I really like what he's doing. He's like you say, he's bringing these things they're there right now. Like we live out in the North Pennines, and like there's badgers, there's deer, there's all sorts, and they're there. They're right there out the window. But like actually seeing them's a different thing. And this guy is bringing you he's bringing nature into your screen, and he's sort of showing you how he's doing that and his journey through it. So people like that are amazing to watch. Somebody starting out for the first time, I would say you need to not focus on it as a career, man. You need to focus on it as something to bring you back to nature. It's like we spend so much time in a box, in a house, in a box, in a car, which is a box. And then we go to work, and 90% of us work in a box. It's like, just get out into nature and start there. Even if it means just going down the river, or if you want to go up the mountains, then go to the mountains, but stay low, stay in the valley, learn how to navigate through the valley first. Before you start going up and getting lost up on the big craggy areas.
Well, that's another thing that I've also said to myself. Like I do a lot of mountain walking. I'll go and I'll try and find. It's partly because of who I am. I'll go and try and find the scrambles. I'll go and try and find the ridge walks. I'll go and try and find the alternative routes. But part of me, especially more recently, and when I went on that last hike to the Peak District. It wasn't about doing, and the Peak District's great for it because it's not as mountainous, as Snowdonia or the lakes. There isn't these epic ridgeline walks. Do you know what I mean? It's more about just like experiencing the lower level ground, and you get to experience the moorland and you know, all those rocky outcrops, you know, that you can wander about and get lost. It's a great. That's where
and just
you learn a lot.
I'd say also, like, if you go into somewhere like the Peak District or wherever you're going, Lake District, Scotland, or whichever part of Scotland you go into, learn about the land, learn about it. Like, the Peak District is amazing. Like, you go up onto Kinder Scout and you're in the peat bogs at the top, and when you start reading about what the peat bog does for the environment, you're just like, oh, right, okay, like, this is serious, man. We need this. We need this bog.
Well, absolutely, and also the fact that, you know, every time I've been there, you know, and hiked up Kinder Scout and then come back across like the Moorland, it's constantly changing. You know, the path's there one minute, the next minute it's gone, the next minute you'll pick it back up again, because it's constantly moving. Which again, once you get outside and you start realising that, you know, it's not just a path that's there forever. Do you know what I mean? It's this constantly moves, and it requires you to constantly learn and constantly, you know, up your game, because nature's just not going to stop.
No. Yeah. And if I've come across this quite a lot, where people are wanting to do the mountain leader, so they'll come to me and they'll say, like, what do I need to do now? And I'll go out with them. They'll, like, book me for a day and I'll go out with them, and it's like, well, it'll be like a day like today, so, which I'm always really, it really pisses me off when somebody says to me, Ben, will you take me out? And then the cloud, we've got like really high pressure and the clouds are like non-existent, because I'm like, well, I can sort of teach them the theory, but they can see, so it's a bit of a cheat.
Yeah.
Right? So when it comes to like navigation, and this is the question I get a lot, what do I need to do now? It's like, go out, even if it's good weather, go out and do a night nav. Pick an area that you know, get the map and try and hit the points off the trail on the map, and use the night as a tool to have crap visibility. But that's obviously when you've got a bit more experience. But I think it's something that people with the skills, they've got the map reading skills, they've got the navigation skills. I see this a lot. They're reluctant to then go out of the comfort zone with that. Yeah. And I think that's what it comes down to, is leaving your comfort zone and just going, right, okay, having a plan B. Right, okay, if I hit this craggy area, I know I've gone too far, and I know that I'm safe to walk back down and I'll hit the road. Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, having that plan B and not going beyond that. If you go wrong, not going beyond that, and knowing where your bug out is, if you like, where you're going back to.
Well, the other thing is, it's like, you know, you can quite easily put yourself out of your comfort zone by hiking at night on a well-trodden path. Like, you know, it's plenty of times I've been to Snowdon at night and hiked through the night on Snowdon and tried to pick, like you say, try to pick up where I am in relation to like what I already know is there, and you know, because it doesn't look the same, it doesn't feel the same. Mm-hmm. The weather's usually, you know, the weather down there is usually typically terrible, you know, and it's going to affect you more mentally at night as well. You're going to be tired, you know, it's going to put you outside of your comfort zone in that respect. And, you know, but it's easy enough to get back down. You can just follow you know, you can retrace your steps quite easily. I've done the same. That's good advice.
And I think go small. Like, there's this work. See, this is where we come unstuck, people like you and I, because I'm promoting. I'm doing the 4x48 challenge. I'm trying to set up my own business as this. I'm doing this. I'm doing the Joss Naylor challenge. They're all like pretty big goals, right? Yeah. I set myself big goals, and then when somebody comes to me and says, I want to learn like how to get out into the fells, Ben, and navigate and be out in the mountains, I'm like, well, start really small. So like, don't plan to go and do like a 10-mile hike over 3 peaks or over 10 peaks in the Lake District or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, pick something small, pick one peak that you know you're confident that you can get up and get back down. If you're starting out, that's what you need to go do. Cat bells, man. Go do cat bells, walk up one path and down the same path. And once you've done that, you start to understand the lay of the land of that area. And then you could maybe go back up and go a little bit further onto the next peak and just start small, man.
Well,
start small and achievable.
You know, that advice of like you say, don't go out and get it all done at one time. I mean, if people are watching this thinking it's achievable to just get outside, learn how to read a map and a compass and go do anything, you know, people forget that, like, you and I have been doing it for quite a while. I learned most of my, like, map reading, using a compass, you know, religiously on small 1-day exercises in the forests and stuff, not even in the mountains, you know, trying to pick up tracks in the forest and stuff like that on exercise, you know, and then naturally that just transitions over time to being able to do it, you know, out in the wider world. But like you say, when people start to go to, like, you know, Snowdonia or sort of eastern part of Snowdonia or Scotland even. I mean, Scotland, you go up to Scotland and you get lost up there, you can get really, really lost, and it can become quite serious. Do you know what I mean?
People die every year up there, man. It's sad, like, and the scary thing is like, it's the more experienced people who tend to disappear because they're more willing to take bigger risks, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think, like, I think when you're starting out, you naturally have that fear of, if I go any further, I might die, so I'm going to turn back.
Yeah.
Which is healthy, and I think you've got to keep that. I think you've got to. When I go up to the Highlands, I spend the first day for me is acclimatizing, and because I respect it so much. Like, I practically live in the Lake District, so I know what's going on with the weather. But up in Scotland, everything's so much bigger, and everything's so much more vast, and it's like I have to acclimatize. It takes me about 24 hours, but once I've acclimatized, I'm like, all right, I get this. I get a feel for the weather. I get a feel for the terrain, and I'm okay then. But it takes a bit of time to get into that. North Wales it's powerful, man. Like, all that volcanic activity that you can see the platelets that have been pushed up. And
you see, I do the same in Snowdon. I live like an hour away from Snowdon, so for me that's like really local, and you know, I know the area quite well. But I'll still go, if I'm going there for 2 days, I'll still choose to, you know, do an easier day, you know, on the first day and just take it in, and I'll maybe do a long hike, and I'll probably camp somewhere, you know, next to a lake, planning for the next day to hit like some big scrambles and stuff early, you know, and it's just a nice way to do it anyway. It's a nice way to warm up into into it. It's all, at the end of the day, people need to remember it's you're going there for an experience. Like, it's not a you don't want it to be like a job. You don't want to like have to down and go to Snowdon again. I've got to traipse around and get up there and get back down and get back home. You know, you want it to be an experience every time, in my eyes.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. So yeah, I would say another thing is for beginners is learn to just learn to enjoy looking at maps, man. Like, get the map out and really study it and get used to it. I'm such a I'll sure do my partner's head in. There'll be like some days where I have a map out on the floor and I'm just like looking at the map. My daughter loves it. She'll come along and she's like, that's a river, that's a road, that's a mountain. But yeah, I love studying the maps and trying to find. I've actually started on, I don't know if you've seen on my channel, I've done I'm going back through my Pennine Way videos.
Yeah, I've seen.
And I'm doing it by map. I'm just so I can, just because I like looking at the maps, really.
I do. I'm always on OS maps on my computer, just like zooming in down to 1 in 25,000 and looking around.
I sometimes get like a little pang of depression looking at that though, because I'll, like, when you're looking at somewhere like North Wales or even the lakes or Scotland, you start to realise that actually there's not much chance of you seeing it all in your lifetime.
No, absolutely not. And also, there's another thing as well. Like I've started to use that OS map thing mainly because it's easier to like plan ahead.
Yeah.
But I like using the map. I like writing on the map. I like, annotating stuff on the map, drawing the route on the map, and being able to like hold them instead of just relying on my phone to point me in the right direction. Keeping the map orientated to the ground. I like it.
Yeah. I used the GPS for the first time to navigate a few weeks ago before the lockdown happened, and there's still snow on the fells in the Lake District. It was winter conditions, and we went out running, did about 15 miles, and it was like really claggy. The cloud was really low, and I used, like, the whole time I decided I was gonna. I always my default is get the map out, get the compass out, because I trust it.
Yeah.
But I forced myself to use the GPS, and I actually realised that there's some skill to it. Like, you can, if I showed you the track, the tracker on my watch,
the
GPS, there's a little bit where I go around in a loop, so I went round in this loop for a bit, and that's because I was following the GPS and I wasn't doing it correctly.
Yeah.
And so I learned a lot of lessons about using a GPS while I was out on that day out. But still, I'm glad I've done that, and I'll always have my phone in my bag, so that I can pinpoint my location if I really, really need to. But map and compass for me all the time.
Well, that's it. And the worrying thing is as well, I used to be seeing a lot of this like back in December time when it was stormy and wintry. Is those people, like you said there, you had your GPS, you're walking around in circles for a bit. There's people that do go out there. And their thought process is, well, I've got a GPS, I don't need a map. And they go out there with just the GPS. They maybe, like you say, they don't know how to use all the functions, because remember, these are high-tech bits of kit. Communicating constantly with satellites. Does anybody take it out of the box and do a good week's training on it? Probably not. They just take it out on the first time on the hills, not take a map, and get lost, even with a GPS. And have no backup as well, I guess. That's the problem.
That's it.